Hello and welcome to Birth as We Know It. I am your podcast host, Kiona Nessenbaum. I have experienced birth as a doula, a student midwife, and as a mother of 3 amazing children with my husband and high school sweetheart by my side. After attending over 130 births, including my own, I've realized that each birth experience is truly unique. So make sure you subscribe and join me every week as we are guided through many different birth experiences through the lens of the storyteller. Please be aware that some of the stories can be triggering to hear, so feel free to pause, take a breath, and come back and listen whenever you're ready. With that said, let's prep ourselves to dive deep and get detailed about what really happens in the birth space. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Birth as We Know It podcast. Today, I have a very special guest with me. I have my daughter, Kavina. Kavina, would you say hello?
Hello, everybody.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. How old are you?
I am 9 years old, and my favorite color is like the galaxy.
Oh, the galaxy. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. What's your favorite activity to do?
Probably like jammed music and stuff, but I also like to color.
So do you just color or do you draw your own pictures?
I color, but I also like to draw a little bit more.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to draw right now?
Probably anime. I really like to draw anime.
Nice. I like that. I will actually post a picture of one of your favorite anime drawings, if you're okay with that, on the website.
Yeah.
So that people can see your anime drawings of today. So today we're going to be talking about 2 birth experiences. We're going to be talking about Cairo's birth experience, and we're also going to be talking about Katana's birth experience. So since Cairo was first, let's go ahead and talk about Cairo's birth experience. Do you remember when we told you that we were expecting Cairo?
I do, and I remember how I remember it is because when we were both sitting on the couch, Daddy, you, and then me, and we were just eating this like taffy candy. I don't remember what it was called, but it was really good. And then you were like, I think Daddy or you were like, guess what? And I was like, what? And then they were like, I don't know who said it, but it was either you or Daddy. And then Daddy was like, I'm just going to say it was Daddy. But Daddy was like, you're going to be a big sister. And I was like, yay!
Mm-hmm. Do you remember how old you were when we told you?
I think I might have been like just turning 4 because I remember that because that's when I remember like when Cairo was like born and stuff. I was like just turned 4.
Yeah, so you were like around 3.5, and then you had just turned 4 a few months before Cairo was born. What were your feelings going through your head when you found out that you were going to be a big sister?
I was really excited, and I was still processing because I didn't really know what a big sister was, but I was like, yay, I'm so excited. And then Daddy was like, there's going to be a baby in the house, and I was like, a baby? And then that's when it kind of like clicked in my mind.
That's awesome. I love that you still kind of remember that feeling.
Yeah.
Did you know that Mommy and Daddy were trying to make it to where you were having a sibling?
I didn't, but I can tell why, because sometimes I get like really lonely and I want somebody to play with me, but it's not exactly that right now.
Yeah. Did you do anything did we do anything to help you prepare for being at the birth? I remember talking to you a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you go into a little bit of detail of what you remember of like how we talked to you?
I think I remember like us like sitting on our bed and we just had like this full conversation and we were like, so we may have to like watch the baby and stuff and like change their diaper and stuff, so then like we won't have as much attention on like only me, and like we're gonna also have to care for the baby too. Like getting me prepared.
Yeah, that was getting you prepared to be a sibling. Do you remember any preparations of like what we did to prepare you for the birth? Because we asked you if you wanted to be around, because for Cairo we were having a home birth, you know, and so we asked you if you wanted to be like present in the room when your brother was going to be born. Do you remember that at all?
I do not.
That's
but
okay. I'll just touch on it a little bit. I remember talking to you a little bit about asking if you wanted to be around, and you know, you're 4 at the time, and so I spoke to you in a way that was a little bit more understanding for that age. And so I showed you a couple of birth videos, home birth videos.
I remember that part.
Yeah, some of them weren't super, like, you know, at first I tried to show you ones that weren't too
drastic.
Exactly. They weren't too drastic, but then we did end up watching one where the baby was coming out. And I remember you being a little shocked. Did you feel any kind of way as you watched my belly grow throughout my pregnancy?
I don't think I really noticed it until you actually like had the belly, and I was like, and I remember like I look back at all these photos and I was always like hugging on the belly or like kissing it, and I remember I was really excited.
Yeah, I remember that too. One photo in particular that I remember is we were swimming and I was in my bathing suit and so were you, and then you were hugging me and just like kissing my belly. In the bathroom. I was bald at that time. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Not exactly bald, but you got a buzz cut.
Yeah, that's right. I did. I got a buzz cut. All right, let's go ahead and bounce forward to his birth. Do you remember at all?
I do remember some stuff. I remember like when you were in the bathtub and like Daddy was like massaging your head and stuff, making you feel comfortable. And there was like this huge like bowl. And it was like this huge yellow bowl, and I just kept on getting bath water and like pouring it on your tummy because that's what the midwife said to do. Because I saw her doing it, and I was like, I want to help, I want to try, and I just kept doing that, and I was like, I'm helping, and I just felt super cool. And then like Momo, my auntie, she was taking photos and stuff, and I remember in like 2 of the photos I like snagged in, and I kind of just like got into the photo, and then it was funny. Because then she actually let me be in one of the photos.
I think that's where the famous selfie photo came from.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you remember anything else about the birth?
I do remember, like, at the end when Cairo came out, that wasn't traumatizing, but it was a day that I would remember. Like once Cairo came out, the water did get like a little bloody, and then like I didn't really think much of it, and then Cairo, like we were cutting his umbilical cord and stuff like that, and then you held him for like a couple seconds because you were like, wow, I finally popped out this baby. and then Daddy took the baby, and then he was like rocking it, and then I remember somebody gave you a banana.
Yeah, I thought it was you that gave me a banana.
I think Juju handed me the banana.
Yeah.
And then I gave it to you. But I remember that. And then I remember how, like, you passed out. And then it was kind of, like, scary. Like, I cried because it was kind of scary. And then, like, my mom's midwife, her name is Mercedes, she was kind of, like, freaking out. And she was, like not over exaggerating, but really scared because this is like the first time this has happened, maybe, I think. But she called 911, and I was really like, what's going on? And then like I heard sirens, and that's when I got scared. And like I kept on going to my dad, but my dad was holding the baby, and then I realized that I think somebody, like one of my family members went into the ambulance with my mom. Was it Daddy? Or did Daddy? Okay.
It was Juju.
Juju. My grandma went into the ambulance with my mom, and my dad was getting like all the clothes on Cairo because it was like really cold outside. And I remember I was really scared and I didn't know what was going on. And my dad was like putting Cairo in his car seat and stuff, and I was like, what's going on? Like, why is everybody on the move? Everybody was getting in their cars and stuff. And then I remember Cairo getting like his seat inside of the car, and I would just buckle it up, and I didn't know what was happening. And we were driving to the hospital to go see my mom, and I remember I was so mad because didn't get to go into the room. And I was just like, "Ugh." I was so mad. But I was also kind of cold because I was wearing like my itty bitty little shorts. You remember those? Like the pink polka dots or like leopard prints?
Yeah.
I was scared.
Yeah, tell me more about that. Like, once you got to the hospital, do you remember anything there?
I remember it was really white. Like, it was like white floors and stuff. And I remember, I think somebody, like, when Daddy went into the room, people were taking turns going in, I think. I don't really exactly remember because it was like 5 years ago. But I do remember, like, I was just sitting in the chair and one of my family members were, like holding me, you know, just, like keeping me safe, and I was just like, I didn't know what's going on, and everybody had to like care for Cairo and stuff, and I was like, what's going on? And I don't really remember stuff after that, but I do remember how we got home safe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you just remember us coming home?
Yeah.
That's good. I remember one thing. Do you remember the thing that you said to me the day after your brother was born that made me really sad?
Don't think so.
Do you remember at all?
That time when I was crying?
Yeah.
Okay. So it just slipped out of my mind. But I remember I was like, Mom, I need your help. I forgot.
You told me that I didn't love you anymore.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Because, like, we were changing the baby's diaper, and I just ran into my room, and I had this huge unicorn, like, plushy stuffed animal, and I just started crying in it. And it was in my closet, too, and it was so sad.
Okay, how was developing that relationship with your brother once he was here?
It was really fun because, like, I remember all the times I've been playing with him and stuff, and, like, all the videos. Those were super fun. Like, I used to, like... when he got a little bit older and like he was like kind of walking and stuff, the first thing I did was I used to dress him up in like a dress and like put on all these bracelets. And I remember a time where I painted his nails and I just like did his hair done, and I was like I remember your reaction. You were like, what?
I was like, where did you get that?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, I remember one video that we have is of Cairo in a green fairy,
oh yeah,
like Halloween costume or something. If I can find a picture, I'll also put that on the website. So that is your experience with Cairo's birth. Do you want to now dive into Katana's birth?
Yes, I was waiting for this moment because I remember it like so clear.
Okay, wait, before you dive into the birth, let's talk about the moment that you found out we were having Katana.
Oh, yeah, that was really exciting. There was a video, so I remember you gave a card to Daddy, and it was like baby nest number 3 or something. And then I walked into the room, and I was wearing like my gown or something, and I was like, just like we were playing pretend, me and Cairo. And I walked upstairs, and then I was like, Mom, are you pregnant? And then you were like, what? And then, like we were talking and stuff, and then you were like, I'm pregnant, and I was like, oh, and Cairo didn't get that click like I did when you told me, and he was like, huh? And then my mom was like, we're gonna have a baby, like another baby. And then Cairo was like, oh, like something, he was like, I wanted to be the baby.
Well, he's like, I'm a baby. But then first we had to stop him from putting the pregnancy test in his mouth. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And then we had to explain to him that just because another baby's coming doesn't mean that he's 7, because you were 7.
Yeah.
When, were you 7? Yeah, you were 7.
So, yeah.
You were 7 when we found out about her. And he's like, I'm 7. And we were like, no, you're still... what, 3?
3, yeah. He was like, now that I'm a big brother, I'm 7. Because I was 7 and I was the big sister.
I think it's cute how he made that kind of connection in his mind. Yeah. I remember you and Daddy cried. Yeah.
I ran up to my dad and he picked me up, and then I remember in the video he noticed that there was a hidden camera, and then he just like went into the bathroom and he was like wiping all the tears, and he was like, we're so excited.
Yeah, I'm not crying. Yeah.
I was the first one to find the hidden camera though, and I was like, ha.
That's true. That is very true. How was the pregnancy from your perspective?
The pregnancy was really fun. I remember like when we were going around and we were like traveling. We weren't traveling, but like we were going to places, and like I remember that one time when you wore that yellow dress. It was really pretty on you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I remember when we went to like the park, and then there was like the huge trees, and then there was this old ice cream truck. Remember, it was all brown, and we got some ice cream, and Kyle got like a Sonic one. He's probably like 4 or 3 then.
He was still 3.
Okay, and then it was for my 8th birthday. Do you remember?
I do, and you got a SpongeBob one.
Yeah, I remember it melted though, and I was sad.
Yeah,
But
you ate the gumball eyes
yeah.
already. And then do you remember how Mommy had to take a lot more naps?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were really tired.
How do you think Mommy felt near the end of my pregnancy?
Probably like relieved, and oh, I remember that time when we were in the Walmart parking lot, and then my mom was like, please tell this baby to come out, right? And then my dad was like, not in the Walmart parking lot. And then my mom was like, but just tell the baby to come out.
Yeah. That was a funny moment. I forgot about that. Let's go ahead and dive into the birth.
Okay. I remember the birth. It was so exciting. I was waiting because I think this was her due date, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like Mercedes.
Well, it started the day before her due date, but she was born on her due date.
And I was like, please wake me up, right? Because and like I went to sleep because I had a really good feeling that we would probably have to wake up, and I was like, Mom, I don't want to go to sleep. I feel like something's gonna happen. And then you were like, don't worry, I'll wake you up. And I was like, okay. And I went to sleep. And I remember being waked up, and I was like, yes, I'm so excited. And you were like in the bathroom when you were braiding your hair, because last birth you didn't have hair, so you didn't have to braid it. But we don't want the hair to get in like the water or stuff. But we were like getting ready. You went in the car, and then Mercedes went first. Her doula. My mom's doula.
Midwife.
She went first, and then we were all going. We were in the car, and I was really excited. But the birth took so long. So we were going, and then my mom's midwife took her in first, and we were still like getting our stuff from the car. I don't think we got stuff, but like we were still getting out of the car, and like we went, and she showed us our room. My mom kind of like sat on the bed a little bit, and I was just sitting down, and I noticed a lot of my family members were there, and it was really fun. But it took like a lot to happen, like for it to really happen. But I remember like she was like doing ultrasounds, I think.
She was using the Doppler.
She was using a Doppler.
To
and
hear
she was
baby's heart rate.
Yeah, and then what were those things? It was like little white tubes.
Little white tubes.
Remember in the photo or something? I think she like gave you a shot and then like.
Oh, an IV. Yeah, she gave me an IV.
What is that for?
It was to make sure that I was hydrated like throughout labor, and if I needed any medication like Pitocin postpartum like extra, then they could put it in through the IV bag after baby's born.
Yeah, and I remember like you just kept walking around and stuff like that, and like you had a sweater, but then you took off your sweater, and then you were just like walking around trying to get labor started, and it didn't start for a long time. So I remember playing like Toca Boca Life on my mom's phone with my auntie, and we were just waiting for something to happen. Was Cairo asleep? No, I don't think he was asleep, but we were trying to play. But the worst part was we had to wear a mask, and I was so mad, and I was like, ugh.
Why did you have to wear your mask?
Because it was COVID time.
Yeah.
And I was like, And I was just like Cairo was just like, I think he was like, just like waking up because he was like, so tired from the car trip.
Well, he eventually did fall asleep though.
Yeah, it was fun.
And you took a little bit of a nap too.
Yeah, I remember like you were walking around, and then you went into your bathing suit, and then you went into the bathtub to see if that would help labor get started, and it didn't like really helped, so you started kind of like standing up and stuff. And then that's when it was like a ton of hours passed and I was getting tired, and so Daddy was like, let's go take a nap in the other room. And I was like, okay, but I really did not want to take a nap, so I just my dad let me play like games on his phone, and then I fell asleep. And then I remember somebody, was it Delilah? I think Delilah walked into the room and she woke us up and she was like, labor's gonna happen or something like that. And I remember walking back into there, and then you had like this huge blanket on and you were just walking in the halls. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
You looked pretty scary though. It was like a white blanket. I just had a
robe on.
Oh, I thought for some reason I thought it was like a huge white blanket. And then I just sat down and stuff like that. I don't remember, but I remember like you kind of like went into the pool, and then like I think that's when labor started.
I think you're missing the moment when you guys were sleeping and you guys didn't come back until someone went and got you guys because they broke my water for me. And I had asked for you guys to come back because it was a moment where I was like, I need my husband. And so they went and got Daddy, and you came along too because you were going to do what?
I was going to go in the bathtub with you.
To do what?
Gonna catch the baby.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, so it was really exciting. I remember, there was so much stuff that happened after. I don't think I told you though. Yeah. Okay, so I like went into the bathroom, I changed, and like I got my bathing suit on. It was like a mermaid on duty one. And then I went into the bathtub, and then I was like, Mercedes was like, just tell me when you want to come out because like this could be uncomfortable. And that was, I wasn't traumatized, but it's a thing that I will remember because I was sitting in there, and then like Mercedes was like, I think somebody was holding your hand. I think our photographer was holding your hand.
At one point she was, yes.
Yeah. And then like I was just sitting down, and then brown stuff came. It was like blood, I think. Was it blood?
I don't know. It could be.
But it was like...
It wasn't poop.
I know. I was like, Mom, you pooped.
It could have been poop, but nobody said I pooped. But poop happens all the time in labor. So.
Okay, but I was kind of scared because it was coming towards me. And I kind of like scooted over, and then the water started getting like a little bit colder. And when I did want to come out, I noticed that Miss Mercedes was like in duty, so she wasn't in duty, but like when I did want to like kind of come out, I noticed that I didn't want her to like have to put in all of her work to me when you were giving labor. So what I was just doing, and I was waiting, and I was just like just sitting down, and I just saw stuff coming, and it was just like all this weird stuff. And then it was like stuff like that, but then I remember I saw the head, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I was so excited, but I was kind of scared at the same time because I was like, what if I don't do it right, something like that. And Mercedes was the first one to touch the head, but it was with gloves on. And so she was like, do you want to feel your baby? And I was like, okay. And I just felt her head, and her hair was so gooey, and I was like, And then I don't really remember that much, but I remember I had to like put my hands out or something. And then like she just like, as they say, she toothpasted out. And like I caught her, and I was like, and then Miss Mercedes like took her, I think.
Both of you, I think, helped her come to my belly, right?
Yeah. And then I was like, and then like Mercedes was kind of done, so then like I think I was like, can I come out, please? Oh, please. And then I got out, and I remember I was like soaking wet. So Tiana went to the bathroom to come help me change. And then everybody was like crying. And then I was like, I can't believe. And I was just crying. And then Tiana like sat on the toilet and just like hugged me for like 10 seconds. And I was just like, okay, let's get back. I want to see the baby. And then I remember like you were out. I think you went to go change or something. Or
I know that I was naked for a while because we got on the bed, and then I birthed the placenta. Do you remember that, or were you still in the bathroom?
I remember that. It was kind of weird. I remember my auntie almost fainted. Papa had to leave the room.
Mm-hmm. Papa is my dad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He had to leave the room. He did not want to see that.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, after Katana was sleeping, or not sleeping, but, like, my mom was rested, laying on the bed, and then they were, like, washing Katana off and stuff, I think.
No, they didn't wash her off, but they were, after we got settled in on the bed, placenta was born. I didn't have any tears, so they didn't have to suture me, but I was there and we were kind of just like hanging out. I nursed her for the first time.
One more thing.
Yeah.
We soaked a hat in blood.
Yeah. With
We
her
soaked
head?
a hat with her head because her head was really bloody. And so we just put a hat on her head, and then we let our dogs smell it. So then our dogs could, like, smell her and know that she isn't a predator in this house. She is more likely to be a prey. But she is just, like, not a guest, but she's a new member of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to, like, welcome her.
Yeah, part of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We let the dog smell the first hat that she ever wore, and it just happened to be really bloody. It wasn't like soaked and dripping in blood, but it did have like blood and birthy residue on it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after we were like settled in and I nursed her for the first time, everybody kind of like left, and then we did the newborn exam. And that's actually the photo on our website is the newborn exam of you holding or touching Katana, not holding her, but like holding her hand or touching her during the newborn exam with Mercedes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And then I have this really awesome photo of you holding her for the first time.
That one.
Yeah. And then there's one photo that I took while we were at home where you're holding her and you just look so big, and it's like it made me sad because I was like, my first baby is big. I was really emotional about it.
And I remember I had to watch Katana a little bit because you needed to, like, wash off, I think. And then Daddy had to, like, help you because your legs were quivering. No?
Quivering?
Yeah, I think.
I don't know. I don't remember that part.
But
Maybe going to the bathroom or something.
You needed help. And I watched Katana, and I felt so proud watching her. And I was just like, oh, a little baby. And she was so cute. I can't. Her eyes were bigger than her head, though. So, like, seriously. Her eyes were so big and bright, and she looked so bold and proud.
Yeah, she did. She came and claimed her space really quickly. Yeah. So how was developing the relationship with Katana after having experienced it with Cairo and doing that?
That was a different, like, thing. It was different than I did with Cairo because, like, Cairo was, like, we had to be, you were, like, a little bit more protected of Cairo because she was, like, the second one. I'm not saying, like, you weren't protective of Katana, but, like...
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Like, Cairo was, like, we got to be careful and stuff like that, but I don't really remember that much, but I remember, like, from all the videos, I'm just like, oh, yeah, I remember that.
So, how was coming home and being a family of 5 for you?
It was really fun. I remember we got pizza and, like, watched AGT or something. America's Got Talent, and it was really fun, and I was, like, holding her and stuff, and it was really fun. I remember she was in, like, her little hat, and her cheeks were so puffy, and, like, it was, like, she was really swollen, and I was like, when can I kiss her? Because I remember I couldn't kiss her because her face was swollen and stuff.
Yeah, and I remember we kind of told you guys to not kiss her for a while because she was so fresh, and it was 6 season, and we just wanted to make sure that she was, like, in our house for a while. I think it was, like, a day or 2 before you guys were able to kiss her, but I don't know what my mindset. Oh, yeah, all the kisses. All the kisses. Let's bounce back. I want you to think of Cairo's birth again and tell me the first thing that comes to mind as the most memorable moment from his birth for you.
Probably when you were cutting his cord. I think Daddy cut his cord.
When you were cutting Cairo's cord?
I cut his cord. I was like, who cut the cord? I remember cutting it, and I was scared because, like, he started crying, and then there was, like, little blood driplets.
Yeah, I remember you asking if it hurt him. And just to reassure you again, it did not hurt him. Okay, now let's think of Katana's birth and what was the most memorable moment from her birth for you?
Right when you say that, I think of like the placenta. I
Mm.
remember that. But I remember the part where like I was in the tub a little bit more. Like when I think of it right now, I can think about it, but it was just like a lot of stuff coming out.
So you think about like all of the birthy stuff that was coming out of my body
Yes.
before your sister was born. So here's a question. I know that we have talked and debriefed a lot about Katana's birth because at one point you did say that it was potentially a little bit traumatizing for you because you didn't quite understand what you signed up for. Now that we've had time to talk about it and discuss it a little bit more, and your answer can be yes or no, do you think that you would ever do it again if you had the chance?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that with such pride.
And I was like, anytime.
Yeah? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So would you just do it for anybody in the streets or
No.
no?
I'll do it for Tiana's baby though.
Okay, one day. Yeah. Let's not fast forward her life too much. Okay, awesome. Was there anything that we did to help you prepare that you would like to share with the world who has like kids that may want to be in the birth space?
Like, let them know that it may be like different and it may be really memorable, but just let them have a chance to like remember it, because like they will always remember like their siblings, but like if they will remember their birth, maybe. I don't know, but like you gotta let them have like memories of like not just like, yeah, I saw my little sister, but like maybe like I was holding my mom's hand, or like something that like this one little dot, like I was taking the photos, or like I was holding her hand, I gave her the towel for her forehead, something like that.
Yeah, so you're saying to the world to don't automatically just like exclude your child from the birth experience. Like maybe ask them if they want to be a part of it and give them a job, like taking photos or filling the
Like,
water.
let them be a part of it too, not like of the audience, but like maybe like helping.
Part of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it felt good for you to be a part of the team both times, even though both of them were scary in their own ways?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think you learned a lot from the experiences?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your perspective with me, baby. Yay. I'm excited. I think that the world will love hearing your perspective because the first birth you were 4 and you still remember some details. And the second birth you were 8 and it was more recent and you remember some details of that too. Yay. Thank you for being on the podcast, Kavina. I love you so much. And I have learned a lot from you just listening to this and like listening to you tell your perspective, because I wasn't aware of all of these things that you remembered. You know, I wasn't sure how long this episode was going to be, and it's longer than I thought it was going to be. So I think that it's really awesome that you remembered so many details and that you learned from it. So yeah. All right. Love you. Let's say bye.
Love you. Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening.
See you soon.
I just wanted to hop back on here and say how fun that was for me to record this episode with Kavina. It was so interesting to hear the different perspective that she had on the birth of her siblings, and the fact that obviously both of us were present at these births but have 2 completely different views. And there were some details that were connected and some that were just completely her own, and I loved that. It was so much fun. I loved hearing the details that she did remember and how it impacted her and on her life and how it impacted her view on birth. That was so exciting for me. So much fun. I truly, truly loved it. And I it was just such an honor for me to be able to hear her perspective. And that is one of the primary reasons why I created this podcast, was to get the perspective from others that are present at the same births and to see how different the little details that are remembered can change how a birth is perceived. And if you haven't already, you can still go ahead and go back to episodes 2 and 3 to listen to the birth experiences of Kavina's siblings. I'm excited to say that next week we connect with Blaine Bennett. Blaine Bennett is the owner of PNW Apothecary, a student midwife, and a birth doula. She dives in on her 4 very different birth experiences, and if you're interested in learning or hearing more about the difference between hospital births and home births or unassisted births, tune in next week.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode today. Don't hesitate to share this with your family and friends. If you liked this episode, feel free to leave a review so my podcast can pop up for others and they can see and listen to it as well. If you have a birth story or experience you would want to share on the Birth As We Know It podcast, head over to KionaNessenbaum.com and fill out the guest request form. That is KionaNessenbaum.com. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Bye for now.